All right, Joe, let's dive into this here. We're talking about that game. Cowboys beat the Saints by 10. We were talking about the Cowboys' long-term outlook on Get Up a lot this morning. What is Vegas saying about Dallas's chances with the Super Bowl?
12-1 to win as of right now, which is the 8th best in the NFL and the 4th best in the NFC, behind division leaders Tampa Bay, Green Bay, and Arizona. Those are the teams in the NFC that have better odds than Dallas to win the Super Bowl this season. One of the main reasons you're seeing 12-1, or I should say there are two primary reasons. One, Dallas is a very, very public team. They have fans all over the place. The books know they're going to take money on the Cowboys no matter what. They can only go so high with the odds in fear of limiting or I should say exposing themselves to great liability. You know, if you priced them at 20 or 25-1, you'd be in big trouble if they won because you're going to take a lot of money. It's like when Tiger Woods was in his heyday. He was always the favorite, even though some of those events he probably shouldn't have been, but mainly because the books knew they were going to take a lot of money. Number two, it's because they have such an easy path to the playoffs. Look at the division. No one's challenging them. It's the exact opposite of what you see in the AFC. New England may be in first place, but Buffalo's right there. Baltimore may be in first. Kansas City may be in first, but they've got divisional opponents right there that could force them into a wild card route or put them in a spot where they miss the playoffs entirely. Dallas is comfortable right now, so that's why we're seeing 12-1.
That makes sense. I've always wondered about that, to be honest with you, Joe, is how much the celebrity factor, if you will, factors into these lines. And I would assume that there are a variety. Tiger Woods was a great example, and there are a variety of teams that fall in that category. I don't know if the Yankees are a team that you would wind up putting in that position because they have so many fans all over the place. Does it apply to the Lakers? Like, what are the other teams / individuals that the line gets skewed just based upon their popularity?
Yeah, when we're talking about futures odds, like to win championships, the Lakers are a great example. The Yankees are a great example. In college football, Alabama's an example. When you talk on a more game-by-game basis, I always use the example of Chip Kelly's Oregon Ducks because people were blindly betting them week after week after week because they scored so many points. They moved so fast. They covered so many spreads. I remember talking to a bookmaker out here one year for a story. It was like 10 years ago. He told me, I cannot set these Ducks lines high enough. I get to a point where even I'm uncomfortable with it, but I know we're going to take so much Oregon money, we're going to be fine. So there are teams that bring in so much attention, so much money that you can skew the line a little bit in your favor just to make sure, you know, you're putting yourself in an advantageous position.
All right, Joe Fortenbaugh with us here, our betting analyst. Let's go to another one. Broncos Chiefs. You just mentioned, you know, that division. There's a scenario, I think, where all four teams could have the same record at the end of this weekend if everything goes in one direction. What are you looking at here with Kansas City, Denver Sunday night?
Chiefs open as a 9.5-point favorite, and depending on the book you look at, it could be as high as 10 right now. The fact that it's at 10, which is a key number, and we're not seeing a lot of pushback yet on Denver, makes me believe that if you're a professional and you're looking to play the dog, they're hoping to see if 10.5 will be out there. We know what the narrative is for this game. Andy Reid off the bye is unstoppable. That's factored into the line. If that's your rationale for betting Kansas City, you are not getting an advantage there. You are not getting any value in that situation. If you want to look for something, maybe look at the under. It opened 49, it dropped to 47. Denver's one of the slowest teams in the NFL in terms of snapping the ball from the start of the play clock until when they get it off. 30th in the NFL in pace right now. And they're going to try to run the football in this game to keep Patrick Mahomes off the field. Money coming in on the under. I'd look to under 47 here.
Joe, next one. What is your favorite of everything, your favorite NFL bet this weekend?
It's not going to get anyone all that excited because it does feature the Lions, but I'd go under 46.5 points between Minnesota and Detroit. It looks like Dalvin Cook and DeAndre Swift will both miss this game. Detroit hasn't topped 20 points in a game since week 1 against San Francisco. The offense has been terrible, and while Minnesota's defense struggles on the road, I don't see that happening in a divisional game against Detroit. Under 46.5 between Minnesota and the Lions.
Well, that's a very interesting one because Minnesota's offense can be so high flying. They go from Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison. You know, I play the DraftKings. He's extremely expensive this weekend. They think Alexander Madison's going to have a very big week, and obviously they have the two big receivers. All right, I like that pick. Give me a college one here. SEC championship game. Georgia, a 6.5-point favorite. The total is 49.5. How do you like this game?
Play for me is going to be the under at 49.5. I lean to Georgia, but the under's the one I'm really getting behind here. We all know Georgia's defense, number 1 in scoring, 7 points per game. Alabama's defense is a top 20 scoring defense as well, so keep that in mind. I just think Georgia's going to bully Alabama up front. And people will tell me that want to argue, well, that's the Auburn game. That's recency bias. You're just looking at one game. No, hogwash. Look at Alabama. Every time they go away from Bryant-Denny Stadium this year, they've struggled. They struggled at Florida, who turned out to be terrible. They lost outright at Texas A&M, who turned out to be, didn't even come close to meeting the expectations we put on them before the start of the season. They should have lost the game to Auburn if Bigsby stays in bounds at the end. And then if you're looking at the situation with LSU, while that was a home game, that's a good defensive line that pushed Alabama around. I think this is going to be a tight one. I think Alabama's defense is going to come to play, and they're going to get stops against Stetson Bennett. But I think it's going to be hard for Bryce Young and the Alabama offense to consistently move the ball down the field with this kind of pressure coming their way from Georgia's front four. Under 49.5 is my play.
What's the best college bet of the weekend?
It's a little bit of a double dipper. I'm going to go to the Mountain West Championship. I'd lay 6 with San Diego State over Utah State. I'd also play the under there as well. We saw a game similar to this play out just a few weeks ago. Utah State was hosting Wyoming. Wyoming is not a good team, but they do one thing very well: pass defense. And they ended up as an underdog going to Utah State and winning that game outright. And they won it big because they shut down Utah State's offense. That's what the Aggies want to do. They want to throw. They're 15th in passing this year. Well, San Diego State is top 10 in opponent yards per passing attempt. They're not going to allow you to throw the ball deep on them throughout the course of the game. They're a top 10 scoring defense. They run the ball. They play at a very slow pace. This should be an absolute grind. I'd go under 50.5 in the Mountain West Championship. I'd lay 6 with San Diego State over Utah State as well.
All right, just outstanding. Joe, this is always such a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.